Welcome, everyone. This is SatiSeva. Sati means mindfulness. Seva means service. This is an exploration of mindfulness to be of better service to ourselves and to one another. It is inspired by the work of Thich Nhat Hanh and the Order of Interbeing and the 14 mindfulness trainings found therein. With permission from Thich Nhat Hanh's publishing company, I rewrote those 14 trainings to make them specific to recovery and support. And I've added a couple of others. I've divided SatiSeva into 3 categories: spirit, body, and mind. And I have intentionally turned that trinity around. Normally you'll hear mind, body, spirit, which is reflective of the Western mindset and a lot of theology associated with it, where we put a lot of emphasis on the mind, its capacity to be linear and logical. Over the years, it has been my observation that the Western mind is suffering a crisis of spirit. And all you have to do is look around and to see the many ways that that is manifesting in ourselves and in others. And so I wanted to begin these mindfulness practices by concentrating on spirit. What does that mean? Consciousness. What does that mean? And there are 5 spirit practices. And then, of course, we drop into the body, all the sensations, all the emotionality that can erupt in the privacy and secrecy of the mind and body. And we keep it well contained. A lot of us do. A lot of us don't. A lot of us are highly expressive and even dysregulated with our emotions. And that manifests in all kinds of maladaptive behavior and action. So the body is a faithful place to reflect and to be discerning. It's also an impeccable place to remember that the body, our body, your body, is a clay temple. Everything within the universe, everything in the universe is manifest as you and as me. All your atoms, all your molecular structure, it's simply formatted in a different way to create this unique expression that's you and me and a tree and a dog and a flea and a rock and the water and the wind. We are deeply, deeply connected to billions and billions and billions of years of evolutionary magic. And it can be explored simply by turning a friendly, curious gaze to the body. And there are 4 mindfulness practices that we explore in the body. And then there's the mind. I definitely live most often in the mind. I was educated to do so. I was taught to do so. My dad was a scholar, and one of the things he did, I'm the youngest of 5, by the way, and one of the things that my dad did which we all hated as kids. Oh my gosh, but it served us well. My dad would make us stand on a piano bench that we had in our living room, and each of us had to give some kind of oration. He was teaching us public speaking. And so, whenever we would have a family gathering or something, somebody was called upon to give some kind of speech on the piano bench, a book report, something that happened, whatever it was. It's pretty amazing. So, my dad taught me to very much be in my mind, in my head. And then, of course, I followed along in academia, and that was very encouraged. Fortunately, I have a highly creative mother to balance it out. My mother was a painter, she was French, bohemian, slightly wild. And she allowed us to be mildly feral, for which I am grateful for. And so it was this balancing act between this sort of conservative academician and this artistic, creative soul. And that combination is me and my siblings. There are 7 mind practices, ways that we can tap into our thoughts, our stories, ways that we can look with again, a friendly curiosity of, why am I thinking this? The instrument of peace you hear me often say is, wow, would you look at that? That is a silly thought, or that is a harsh thought, or that is a thought that really doesn't serve me. It's a judgmental swipe at my ancient evolutionary being. Why am I giving myself permission to speak to myself that way? The mind practices are also this wonderful, wonderful, spacious place to explore options. So you often hear in this practice an instrument of peace that sounds like this. Well, that's true. What else is true? That's true, and not the whole truth. That particular instrument of peace is such a wonderful invitation to broaden the perspective a little bit. We can get so hard on ourselves. We can repeat the same old story over and over and over again that it almost becomes solidified and concretized. And that instrument of peace that says, that's true. What else is true is almost like taking a little chisel to the concrete of our stories and breaking it apart a little bit, seeing a little piece and holding it in a new light for something else to emerge. Take a moment and be with your spirit. What's come into your awareness? Do you have a spirit of spaciousness and openness around you? Or are you feeling a bit hardened? And even if you're feeling hardened, cynical, skeptical, worn down, despairing, that's okay. Give yourself a little bit of space around that, a little buffer, a softness. That's what happens when we come into acceptance. Notice your body. How do you feel in your body? Has your body been nurtured recently? Have you fed your body good food? Something lovely to drink? Today I brought into Soul Center some elderberry syrup that I made with a couple of friends. And it's such a natural medicine. It's so nurturing. It's sweet. And I add it with my tea, and it just makes me happy because I know I'm doing something good for my body. It's so simple. It's almost a little nothing, and yet it's a big deal. And with your mind, I think the most important practice I want to emphasize today is wise speech. We hear about this on the Noble Eightfold Path. And it's one thing to hear about it, it's one thing to mention it as part of the list of 8 aspects that define the way to awaken to the conditions of our own suffering. It's something else entirely to explore wise speech, to pull it apart and see its components, things like tone. When was the last time you explored the tone of your voice? When you speak in the privacy of your mind. And when you catch yourself speaking in a way that's wicked, do you admonish yourself and just keep piling on the harshness? I do. I do all the time. It's like I catch myself and I'm like, oh, God, really, Julia? Are you kidding me? You know better. Whoops. Wow. Did you look at that? There I go again. That's when I love to practice an instrument of peace called ugh to ooh. Ugh. There I go again. I can't believe it. I'm always doing that to myself. Ooh. Wait a second. Let's slow this down. Let's take a look. Let's see if we can soften this, Julia. You're hurting. You're disappointed in yourself. You're frustrated. When was the last time you nurtured yourself? When was the last time you took a deep breath? That's the way to work with some harsh tones. A final note of all of these mindfulness practices is they are imbued with a spirit of gentleness and compassion. However, I want to emphasize that to be gentle and to be compassionate is not to be weak or wishy washy or excuse making. To be gentle and compassionate is to be solid, unwavering, highly anchored and centered in one's truth, one's whole truth. And when you can get to that place, friends, it's neutral. It's a place that has enough space for all of the misconduct, all of the unskillful actions I have engaged, and the regret that I feel, and the guilt that I feel, and the shame and the confusion. And right beside it is this resilience and this tenacity to do and be better and different. And that's the thing that's so beautiful about being gentle is, yeah, okay, I did that really unskillful thing and I'm not going to let myself off the hook. I'm going to own it and I'm going to be with it. But I'm not going to beat myself up with this hook. I'm not going to hurt myself because I made this mistake. I'm going to own it and I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to do different. And this is a practice. This is all about cleaning up the mind, using the mess of the past to clean up the present so that what we put into the future is something more aligned with our own spiritual, soulful integrity. And it takes time. So, for the next few moments, let's just breathe and enjoy some time of gentle awareness, awe for the body and our connection to the universe, and the resilience and intelligence, the natural intelligence and wisdom that we possess to keep going. As you breathe, bring your awareness as a gentle gaze to the face. And just see if you can move the muscles in your face, raise your eyebrows, squint your eyes, move your mouth, and then allow the face to relax and enjoy. Hmm. Alrighty, friends. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed that time. So as we head into the Q&A part of our practice today, I do want to remind everybody that this session is still being recorded. So again, if you've just popped in, if you'd like to ask me a question about anything related to SatiSeva or even Recovery Dharma, feel free. Just know that your voice will be on this recording. Your face will not. If you'd rather not be recorded today, you have a couple of options. You can just listen, or if you'd like to write a question in the chat and remain anonymous, just say so, and I'm happy to share your thoughts. For those of you who are new, SatiSeva has a book that we put out in September. It's hard to believe. It's amazing. So this has been a project of 5 years, almost 6 years now in the making. And one of the things that really inspired me in terms of Thich Nhat Hanh and the Order of Interbeing and his 14 mindfulness trainings was when Thich Nhat Hanh created this, he was in a transition time. And there were 3 monastic people and 3 lay people that were working together. They had this very small cohort, and he came up with these trainings. And he said, okay, what I want to do is study these with you and create a practice. And let's do this together for 10 years before we make it public. And so they really ironed out all of these practices together and what it meant and how to simplify it and explore it. And when the 10-year mark came, he said, yeah, we're not ready. Let's do this for 5 more years. 15 years. It's amazing to me, that he dedicated that much time. And so I feel really solid about the merit of those practices and what they mean, and then how they can easily translate into recovery. So all of that to say, I think we are, not only are we standing on sacred ground, we're standing on solid ground for this practice. So with that, yeah, Lo reminded me so that we're not going to do a tag pass this time. Instead, I'd like to encourage you to use the raised hand emoji if there's, or not emoji, but feature, if there's anything that you would like to ask me or reach out to the community for. Don't be shy. Hi, Lisa. Yeah.
I haven't mastered the raised hand function yet. I have a question of just how these practices got categorized the way they did, but that's not what I want to ask right now. Since I have you and your worldly wisdom, I'm having a problem. Last year at this time, Christmas time, I had gotten myself into such a horrible funk. It was truly the worst depression I've ever felt. And I felt at some point like I was going to throw up a big hairball of just confusion and self-hatred and all kinds of shit. So that was a year ago. And I just thought, what is this getting kind of scary? I scheduled hip surgery for Christmas last year, and that kind of changed the energy. So I saved myself. But in the meantime, recovery's been kind of hard on me because I didn't sleep for years, and I ended up freaking out and had to move and all this crazy nutty energy, and I did stupid things. The worst thing I've done, or the thing that I can't let go of, and I don't know how to do it, how to resolve this, because I don't think it's resolvable. Well, I was caught myself in a weird hotel situation where I was terrified. I couldn't calm down. I was fucking out of my mind. I called my brother at 2:30. He's a doctor in the morning and said, I need help. And I mean, it was bad. Anyway, in the meantime, what I had done that night is emailed two people in my town that I don't really see very often, but they know a lot of people that I know because we're all in the plant business. And I wrote these weird emails from this crazy brain, and I just attacked them for no reason at all. I mean, it was so stupid, and I don't know now. I've written a note saying I'm sorry, they don't care about me. Really, it's not really resolvable. That's the part that's not resolvable. I can't make that go away, and I can't make anything happen there. But how do I let it go in me? I just can't get over the fact that I did something so everything that's skillful, wise, everything that I'm trying to do here. And I just did this weird, nutty behavior. And anyway, that's my question.
Yeah,
Julia.
You're so welcome. How do I let that go? Well, let's put it into the spirit practices first. So the first thing is your awareness of it. Okay? So that's an amazing thing to be aware of what you've done, your activity, the unskillfulness, the fact that the people that you wrote to, they may not have the capacity to forgive you. I think they probably do care and they just don't know how to express that because that would be typical. That would be pretty common. And maybe they don't. That's also a valid, you can be ambivalent about that. Like, nah, that may be true. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to demonstrate is how to take stock, which is an instrument of peace. And so the fact that you're aware is huge. How many people are out there doing unskillful things and they're not even aware? Amazing. So then to just be open and spacious about it, to just recognize, and I'm holding on. I'm not letting this go. Huh. Would you look at that? There's nothing that needs to be resolved in that moment. Just this awareness, the recognition of, I am not letting this go. Okay. You can accept that. That's another of the spirit practices. I am not letting this go.
Well, it was a pretty major fuck up.
There it is. Okay. Then the next question is, and this is again for a very gentle inquiry, is what am I gaining by not letting this go?
I don't know.
Yeah, just something to explore, something to just be curious about, something to be open about. I may be gaining something by not letting this go. It could be feeding and motivating my saboteur, keeping me limited, keeping me small, entertaining those stories. It might not be time for me to let this go. I might still have aspects of it that I don't fully understand in order to take me into the future, into the next steps with greater clarity. So there could be something beyond me that is holding on. So I may be feeling impatient, but life is like, wait, it's not time.
I'm old. I don't have a lot of patience anymore because it's kind of running out of time.
And then if that's the case, if you feel that really strong urgency, then it's a determined decision. And the determined decision sounds very different. And that is, I am letting this go. I am putting this down. And from this moment on, I am working toward forgiving myself. And I am working toward understanding this so that I don't make this mistake again. I can't go back and change it, but I can certainly not do it again.
Absolutely.
And that's huge. How does that land for you?
Good. I'm looking forward to when I can let it go. But you're right. I'm not very patient.
It's a hard one. And I think the thing too is, think back to if there's anything in your childhood that you did that you regret, some kind of adolescent or young thing that you're like, oh God, I wish I wouldn't have done
Oh, yeah,
that.
you're
And,
right. Yeah,
right?
lots of those.
Right. And we all have them. So that's all part of the human experience. There isn't anybody on this meeting that doesn't have that. And so to remember you're not alone. And so if you can do this for yourself, by extension, you're putting out into the universe the possibility that someone else can purify and clarify their own regret. That's really the motivation is I'm letting it go for myself, but I'm also putting out this radiance that maybe someone somewhere else can put down and let go a regret that they've been holding on for long enough. It's time. Something to play with.
Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yes, Miss Terry.
Hello. Hey, I'm Terry. I'm an alcoholic, and I have a question. Um, my husband passed away in July, and I'm working with a lawyer, and he's a family friend. I met him when he was 12 years old, and I was 30 years old. And he told me just about a month ago that he was going to Vegas. Well, I've moved to Orange County and I live the city life now. I'm a country girl and now I'm in the city, and I was giving him all this advice about how to protect himself in this city of sin, and he comes back and says that he didn't gamble, nor did he invite any of the other persuasions that can be met in Las Vegas. And I would like to know how to gain that type of control. Because, like you said, being kind does not mean that you're not solid. Being kind should have solidity with it. And I need that kind of control because I don't have it. I have an addictive personality and I'm trying to get rid of sugar in my life right now, and it is hard. So that's my question.
So, Terry, I want to make sure I get really focused and clear about what you're asking. So you presented a comparison. So you've got somebody in your life who seems to be able to go into an environment that's highly seductive and full of temptation. And this person was able to stay very solid in their decision to not engage. You, on the other hand, have this attachment to sugar. I call Fernando, by the way, because Fernando's like a Latin lover who takes me on the dance floor, spins me around, and then dumps me in the middle of the floor, humiliated. So I can relate to your sugar. So anyway, so you're comparing yourself to this individual, saying, okay, and I don't have that capacity. I have, and the story you're telling yourself is I have an addictive personality and I've engaged in all of these things. How do I set up some terms of control, some limits of control? Do I have it correct? Okay. The first thing I would always encourage anyone, when you're working with shifting a habit energy, is to remember to take stock of the things that you do control. because the mind has a propensity to say, whenever it is dealing with something that feels out of control, to exaggerate and to be in a distorted state that says, oh, see, I can't control anything, which isn't true. We all have measures of control in our lives. Take stock of those. What are the conditions around that make it easy for you to
Right.
control? And then just to understand it, just to gain some understanding. And the only reason why I say that is because it helps address the distorted mind that's so quick to give up and give in. See, I can't control it, so I might as well just indulge.
Yep.
And if we can take stock of, wait a minute, no, I control this. I have a good relationship with that. I'm really great with this. I have boundaries around that. When the temptation comes in, you can apply those factors, those conditions, and go, yeah, not today, Fernando. Not today, Mara. I see you. And I don't have to engage you in this moment, in this time.
And then it just grows stronger. That conviction just keeps growing stronger.
Yep. And you can't do it by having a craving that comes up, which, by the way, sugar is a very natural craving. It's a biological craving. It's everywhere in our food. I mean, this is a big deal. And so we can't meet it with harshness or admonishment or negativity. It just doesn't serve as a sustainable motivator. And so really positive reinforcement. There it is again. I see you, Fernando. I don't want to dance with you today. I'm going to find something else. I'm going to have a piece of fruit. I'm going to have a drink of water. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to pet my dogs. I'm going to evaluate all the things that I do really well and have control over, and keep going.
Okay. Thank you,
You're
Julia.
welcome. Shloni? Shlomi? Oh, I feel like I'm saying your name wrong. Please unmute and help me say your name correctly. You have a beautiful smile, and I want to make sure I've said your name right.
It's Shlomi, like Slomi, but with an SH.
Shlomi.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome. I think this is your second time with us, right? Maybe third time?
yeah, I'm new to recovery Dharma, and it's a beginner's question, if that's okay.
Yes.
Um, so long time Dharma practitioner, and I came to recovery Dharma from a 12-step program. My main addiction in that language is to screens and technology and internet. And I have been back for a couple weeks and loving it, and the Buddhism speaks to my soul much more than the languaging of the 12 steps. However, I still haven't figured out how to, in quotations, work the steps. And yesterday, I had a relapse where I spent most of the day kind of engaging in the bottom line behavior for me that I was doing well, and I'm doing meetings every day and I'm talking to people, but I know the Eightfold Path very well. I love the Dharma. I would like to know how to practice or work or whatever the language is in this program that I can do that is beyond meetings and kind of conversations. What would be the best way to start or to do that?
That's a really great question. First of all, do you have the Recovery Dharma book? Okay, good. So, Recovery Dharma is founded on its main foundation is the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. And so we're looking at there is discomfort in life. right? And we're all looking for ways to soothe ourselves from the discomfort of life. And there are reasons for that. There's a way to stop it, and that way is called the Noble Eightfold Path, right? Okay, and then we have the 8 aspects of the Noble Eightfold Path. My number one advice is whenever you're engaging in a habit energy that you want to change, the first question is, why am I doing this? If this is a habit that I want to do less of or I don't want, can I be real about it? Am I getting something out of being on the screen right now? And if the answer is yes, okay. That's okay. If the answer is no, then it's, well, wait a minute. Am I seeking this to soothe myself from some discomfort? And if that's a thread, if that's an avenue you want to go, then your attention turns to, well, what's making me uncomfortable? Can you get curious about that? I think what happens when we're working with habit energy and we're moving away from a traditional ideology, the thing that I see so often in this transition, and again, this is Julia's opinion. This is I'm not representing Recovery Dharma or anything. I'm representing how this comes alive in me, and I would encourage you to do the same. So what I see very often is when people are in traditional programs, the focus, there's a hyper fixation on the habit energy itself. So you're drinking too much, you're using too many drugs, you're on your screen, and you got to stop doing that. And there's a whole lot going on underneath it. It's a little bit like an iceberg, right? Where just the little peak of it is the habit energy that you see. And there's a whole lot of conditioning going on underneath. Recovery Dharma and the Buddhist approach is all about identifying that snow-capped peak of the glacier and going, oh yeah, there it is. Let's go underwater. Let's go see what all of this is in that semi-unseen realm. And the only way to do it from a Buddhist perspective is to be gentle, to be curious, to be compassionate, to apply the limitless qualities. Are you loving and kind to yourself? Are you compassionate to yourself? Are you joyful in this exploration? Can you include a little bit of equanimity? And as I said, say you're engaging in a habit energy. Let's say you are someone who has been addicted to pills and you're working with that. And addictions to pills is a big addiction. We're talking about changing one's neurochemistry. Takes a long time, and it's a huge physiological effort. And so to get there, say you're employing a little harm reduction and you're not taking pills, but you're smoking weed. Okay. Now, there are some practices out that are like absolutely no, 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 no. If you're using substances of any kind, you're failing at your recovery. From the Buddhist practice, even though this is a practice of renunciation, and even though we recognize that anytime we take any kind of intoxicant on board, we are altering our minds. There is an aspect of this that says, can I be honest? Can I be real? Can I say, I'm not doing these pills and I'm smoking a little weed, but it's allowing me to function? That's a win. That is a win. That's being honest. It's being aware. It's reducing the one habit energy that's really causing the most harm and the most unskillfulness, and it's replacing it with something less harmful. And then when you're in that place of acceptance, now I can look at, okay, so I'm still smoking weed. What am I trying to soothe myself from? That's the question. What's the discomfort I'm experiencing? Why don't I want to feel it? And if I'm not feeling it in this moment, is that okay? Am I harming myself? Am I harming other people? Can I be skillful about this? Can I use wise understanding? Can I have a good intention? What are my actions? What are my effort? What's my mindfulness? And so on. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. And I guess I'm just curious. I see the inquiry in the book, and I hear it in what you're offering right now. I'm just curious if there's any context where I can do this other than on my own, like in the moment or like with the book. Any resources or any places to sort of do it together because it always works better for me.
Oh, absolutely. There are inquiry groups. If you go on the meetings page of Recovery Dharma, there are groups. And then I would also encourage that people create inquiry groups on their own. So find some people to practice with. I mean, even in traditional programs, it is considered a spiritual, they want to engage a spiritual practice. So bring Recovery Dharma into an AA practice. Get some people together and use those inquiry questions. They're very, very helpful. Recovery Dharma, and remember, friends, this is it's a slowed down approach, I think, personally, because we're really curious, at least the way I'm approaching it, in looking at the whole of a person. So it's going to take some time. And I think where people get ahead of themselves is it's new, it's novel, and then they get really excited, and then you can burn yourself out. So take your time. Take your time. And even in the spirit of Thich Nhat Hanh, ask yourself a question and keep asking it for the next 6 months. Like work the question that way, as opposed to, oh, I've got the answer. And that means I've got the answer forever and ever and ever. Keep one question, keep one inquiry, and keep asking it for 6 months and see what comes up for you. All right. Nancy or Marty, did either of you have a thought you want to share?
You won't be on camera.
Oh, I thought you were going to share something. No, the only thing that was really coming to me as I was listening to this discussion about what to do, what I kind of have found that helps me is I have really dedicated the last couple of years of setting aside every morning time to do a practice. And so I would be reading mindfulness or doing my oracle cards or trying to set aside time to do a practice. And I can't tell you how much the book, your book, has helped in my practice. And then also now where I can incorporate listening to the audios when I'm doing other things, when I'm busy, when I'm, because this thing where I've just got to stay busy all the time. But I can listen, and your voice gets in my head, or just I think it is a practice, and the dedication, how much things have changed for me by really, unless something, once in a while life gets in the way and you do have to do something, but really setting aside time every day, a little bit of time. And now, being retired, I can set aside more time, but if you can set aside time for yourself to do some mindfulness and to do the book slow. I read other things, 4 or 5 books at a time, but read a little bit at a time and really chew it over. And I like the word savor, the way you say savor, to really savor it and think about it. I think that's the best thing you can do for yourself, is give yourself time. And about letting go of I think we've all done stupid things. I don't remember your name, about talking about, how do you let go of some stupid thing that you've done. It reminded me of some stuff that I had done. And for the longest time, it got in my way of recovery. And, but now I'm past a lot of that, because I had to forgive myself. And that was the hardest thing. And like you said, finally ask myself, really, there was nothing I could do. I have done stupid things. Am I ashamed of some of the stuff I've done? Yes. But I'm now proud of the person that I am becoming. And so that's stronger than some of the stuff that I have done.
Mm-hmm.
And also, kind of one of the things that you said, what was I getting out of holding on to it? All I was getting out of it is I was punishing myself and not moving myself forward. And so I know it's hard to do, but once you can really start forgiving yourself, then you can start really moving ahead in your recovery.
That's beautiful,
So-
Nance. Thank you so much. I want to pick up on that, because it's one of the additional trainings, mindfulness trainings, that I brought forward in the SatiSeva book, and it's under the mind practices, and it's being with distortions. So this one's not an easy one, because if you have a mind like mine, it's like, I'm not distorted, I'm seeing clearly, I'm smart, I'm not not crazy. And yet, hello, we all have the capacity for distorted thinking as much as we all have the capacity for clarity. And so it's about putting everything on a spectrum. There's nobody here who gets a prize for being the worst human being ever. And there's no one here who gets a prize for being the best human being ever. We're all on this spectrum that's constantly moving, where we have moments where we're not our best. Yikes, ain't pretty. And we have moments where we're amazing. And isn't that great? And it's, again, impermanent. We're constantly moving and fluid. And so why I bring that forward is, again, equanimity. It's the capacity to bring in both. And when we're in a distorted state of mind, we're either inflating how fantastic we are, and that's more the disordered narcissistic mind, where I can do no wrong kind of a thing. Or we're in the distorted state of mind that says, I'm such a total piece of shit that it's just not worth it, and everybody will hate me, and I can't show my face, and blah, blah, blah. And so in terms of hanging on and clinging, that's the hooks of the distortion, is it wants to keep us on one side of the extreme or the other. Letting go is all about releasing those hooks and finding some place somewhere in the middle. And I don't know that we ever let go forever and ever. It's a little bit like working with grief, right? So when you think about grief in the most common sense, it's the loss of somebody that you care about, a pet, a loved one, whatever it is. And we grieve deeply for that loss. And we never really get over it. We never really let it go. We go on with that loss. The same is true for anything that we regret. We go on holding that regret, but at least what we do with practice is the is the weight of it. Its teeth don't sink in so deep. It doesn't hold us so tightly to that inflated, distorted place. We can move around a little bit, like, yeah, that was really uncomfortable, and I wish I hadn't done that. And I've done a lot of amazing things since then. And I keep doing amazing things. That was a low point in my life. Moving away from it, letting it go, loosening it. I think that's really what we're looking at. The other piece that I want to pick up from what Nancy shared is about being busy. This is a busy time of year for people. And again, I want to bring forward equanimity, because somehow, particularly for women, and certainly in my own experience, there's this duality, right? Either you're busy, you're too busy, or you're more peaceful and relaxed and go with the flow. You're one or the other, right? If you're too busy, that's bad. If you're more peaceful and go with the flow, that's good. How about something a little bit more equanimous that says, I'm somewhere in between? I'm an incredibly busy person, and it's mostly because I'm active, I'm energetic, and I'm highly creative. And I also have the capacity to enjoy solitude and stillness and peace. I'm both of these things. And so is pretty much everyone else. But we have this projected attitude that's like, why are you busy all the time? As if it's an accusation, as if that's bad. And it could be somebody's coping mechanism to be distracted from something that they would rather not look at. And it's so much more curious and wiser, instead of being accusing, why are you so busy all the time? To ask a question that sounds more like, help me understand what you get out of your activity and your busyness. I really want to know. I'd like to see you for who you are. I admire that. Tell me about your relationship to stillness. Is that something that you're comfortable with? We don't ask questions like that. And this is a practice that invites us to try and to start doing that. We have a wonderful friend here today who just popped in, who we haven't seen for a little while. Hello, friend. I see you smiling. I'm so happy you're here. Oh, my goodness. I want you to know that if you unmute, you're going to be recorded. So I don't know if you want just your voice. You won't be on the video, but if you unmute and say something, you're going to be on this recording. But just know that I'm very, very, very happy to see you. All righty. Who else wants to share? I don't know if you can unmute all by yourself, but if you want to share, yes, there you go, Nancy.
I was trying to do it myself. So bossy. I want to share an awareness I had this week that made me happy that I did it, but also uncomfortable. This is a habit energy from way back growing up in my family of origin. Being a people pleaser, always wanting to do always trying to make it better for everybody else, that kind of thing. And it spilled over into my relationships. And I've had multiple relationships. I don't know if I've talked about that, but I think that's all part of the same story. But what I do is I dismiss myself and I cling on to moving in their direction, anything, the life that they want to lead. Oh, I can do that. I can do that. And go here, go there for everybody else and what they want to do instead of honoring my own self. Or even way back when, I didn't even know who I was. So their story and their way of life seemed a lot more interesting than mine. And of course, I've been in recovery for a long time too. And, it's been it's a slow process for anybody out there that's just starting. Don't rush it. Just take your time. It's a big change. But anyway, just yesterday, I became aware of this situation where I stood up for myself. I couldn't believe it. I have an ex-husband that I'm still really good friends with, and we like to do and share things together. But we've been living apart for about 5 years, and I'm a yoga teacher and a massage therapist and that kind of thing. And this year I've decided I got all my Christmas shopping done. Everything's ready to go, packed in my car to go downstate. And I said, I'm going to do a yoga retreat for 3 days over the winter solstice. And between that and working, I don't have time to really engage in anything kind of social. So I told him that I wouldn't be seeing him until probably after Christmas because I was too busy, engaging in work. And I really want to do this yoga retreat and just kind of get into, we're talking about stillness and everything that I really want. I just gonna submerge myself in my yoga retreat. And I love it. I love it. And it's me, it's me. This is me showing up. And I got this nag after I told him because I could hear it in his voice, his disappointment. And those triggers that it always got, if I wasn't going to do it his way, then it would be that little nag, that little uh-oh. In the child in me or the person in me was really mind grinding. Lisa talked about, ooh, that kind of nag, that digger in yourself, not about what he said, that's his stuff, but it was the feeling that I had for myself, that deep acceptance of honoring me, who I am, what I'm all about. And, another thing that I'm realizing as I'm just talking about it is honoring yourself and showing up for who you are is really telling them something about who you are because you're pretending all the time otherwise. It's just sort of unfolding, I mean, all these years, and I was thinking about what you said, and I think what it ends up having to be is you have to practice. Every time the situation comes up, being able to pause. And I'm talking to myself right now. I'm not talking to anybody else out there. I'm glad you're all listening. Anyway, I'm thinking, I think it's the first time I really said, no, this is me and this is what I want to do. And I thought, am I going to be able to hold that line? Because, man, did I ever feel like calling him and start making all these excuses and, oh, maybe I should come out and do this and that and trying to cover it up, trying to make him feel better. And I said, no, I'm just not going to do that. But I realized this is the start. And now I have to practice this in every moment when that comes up and I start to abandon myself. Mm-hmm. So thank you for listening.
You're so welcome. What a great demonstration of boundaries. Wow. And specifically the balaklohe. So I want to pick that up because I think I want to share with you a visual of how that often works. So the balaklohe is on boundaries. This is a really profound practice, and it's a way of imagining that my life, my space, me as an individual person is framed by the experiences of my life, and a beautiful little stone wall all around me, bordering my life. And that border abuts other people, my children, my husband, my friends. And so they have their space boundaried and framed in their own experiences. And we're connected by this little boundary, by this little frame, this balaklohe. And it's a sacred altar. It's an altar of understanding. It's where we can see one another. My loved one can see into my space. I can see into their space. And we meet at the wall with understanding and respect and mutual respect. And this takes time to learn, because in the process of learning, we're unlearning some habits, usually very unboundaried habits, which is what you were describing, where before I know it, I'm in my loved one's space and I'm living their life with them, but I've abandoned my space.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that I'm back in my space, I've got to hold it. I've got to hold these boundaries. I've got to hold these borders. So I'm going to say to my loved one, hey, I'm doing something different. And by the way, I'm practicing. And I'd like you to meet me at the wall of this understanding. And I'd like to share with you something about me. And I'd like you to see me. And so what you did was you put up a perspective on the wall that said, hey, I'm not going to do this the way you might want me to do it. I'm going to do it for me. And people may say, why do you have to be so selfish and blah, 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 and all that stuff, right? And so our loved ones can often turn that disappointment that's staring at them and turn it facing into our space. And suddenly I'm looking at my loved one's disappointment as if it's supposed to be mine, and as if I'm supposed to do something with it. And I'm just like, I know you're disappointed, and I know that feels uncomfortable. And would you look at that? And we can talk about it later, but that's yours, not mine.
That's awesome. That was great.
Right? Because and they do it all the time. It's very subtle. And here's the other thing. Here's something even more humiliating and humbling, is when we do it. We're like, can't you see my disappointment? Do something about it. And then we have to grab that perspective off the wall, off the altar of understanding, and go, oh, darn it. That's my disappointment. I got to take some time to go look at that. Right.
Yes.
But that can be done for anything. Projected anger, frustration. And what's beautiful about a boundary is we're not saying, take that disappointment away. My loved one has every right to feel disappointed. I have every right to feel disappointed when disappointment comes along. Absolutely. But it's mine to work with. It's mine to learn from. And so there it stays on the altar of understanding between us, so that we can each work with it and understand it, and by extension, understand each other. That's how healthy boundaries work.
That was awesome, Julia. Thank you so much.
And by the way, I love my mug because it's all these spirals. So we learn this shit over and over and over and over again, peeps. That's what it's all about. Over and over and over again. All right. So good.
Good.
Anybody else want to share anything real quick? Lo, did you want to share anything today? No? Yes, Aga?
Hi, everyone. You talked about these 3 areas of practice, like spirit, body, and mind. And I'm curious about the category of body. The body can sometimes be difficult, chronic pain, discomfort, illness, recovery from whatever. I would like a little bit on that topic, if you could, I don't have like a specific question, but I would like to hear a bit more about that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for asking it. So the four mindfulness practices associated with the body are the power of pause, the cultivation of boundaries, the balaklohe, play and creativity. Oh, look at that. The balloons. That was fun. How did that happen? How did I do that? Play. Does that work? Creativity, play. I don't know how it worked. Anyway, and nurturance. So the body is this place where trauma is held, memory is held. We're aging, we get sick, well, we're going to get old, all of the things, and so we can get really physically oriented in the body, which is an important thing to do. However, there is something about working with pause to just remember I'm alive. We can have the gratitude practice anytime we're working with this body. I can't do some things, I can do other things. And then if you start to practice with play and creativity, which is a mindfulness practice that's really uncomfortable for a lot of people. And it usually stirs up stuff like, well, play is for children, or I'm not very creative. I don't know how to do art. Play for me, and one of the ways I encourage it as a body practice, is anything that you can do with your body in a healthy way that serves as a nurturing distraction. So, for example, if you're uncomfortable, if you're physically uncomfortable, what can you do in your mind or your body that's a little bit lighter, a little lighthearted, that opens up to a little bit of joy, a little bit of expressive creativity, or even in contact with something outside of your sphere that reminds you, oh, I'm not just my body and I'm not just my pain. And it may only be for a moment, but a moment that you didn't have before. And then as we build on that moment, that's what we're doing. We're building on it moment to moment to moment. The practice of nurturance is a literal one. And the literal aspect of it is to really make sure whatever you're putting into your body, you're doing so with great intentionality. So even when you cook your own food, what's the intention of your cooking process? Are you just putting fuel in the tank? Or are you remembering that whenever you eat, you are connected to hundreds, if not thousands, of nameless, faceless people, probably all over the globe, who, just like me, want to be healthy, happy, and free? And then to just breathe that in. And that too is an avenue of lightening things up. I know when I'm uncomfortable, I get these flares of plantar fasciitis, which is really painful in my feet. And it's so dumb, and I'm infuriated by it because I'm a really low hears about it all the time. I grumble about it because I'm a busy woman. I'm a farmer. I got shit to do, people. I can't have this. And then I have to remember, oh, right, my body's trying to tell me something. Slow down. How can I nurture it? How can I tend to it? And sometimes I need to look and be distracted. And suddenly my pain is less. Is that helpful?
Yes, very. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All righty. We are at the end of our time, and I want to thank you all for joining me today for this beautiful, beautiful practice. We meet again on Sunday. Sunday's the solstice. I am so happy. Normally, this time of year, leading up to the solstice, it's a slog for me. It's like darker and darker and ugh and ugh. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's 5 o'clock and I'm like, isn't it bedtime? And then I end up staying up too late watching TV with my kids or whatever. But anyway, I'm much more lighthearted about it this time. And so I'm excited about the solstice, the return to the light. It feels very, very joyful to me. So we meet on Sunday, 11 o'clock, and we're going to explore some instruments of peace. Some really common ones like, would you look at that? And that's true and not the whole truth. But there are some others that I'd like to bring forward. And one of them is a game. It's a playful game. And I'm going to plant this seed now because I'd love to hear about how this comes alive for you from between now and Sunday. And the instrument of peace I want to encourage is this. The thing I love about myself is. It's not like. The thing I love about myself is. And then the tricky part of this practice is you have to say it out loud and you have to say it to another human being. The thing I love about myself is. So I'd like you all to consider practicing that. And how I often play with this is, hey, I'd like to play a game. I'm in a Buddhist practice, and I'd like to play a game. Would you like to play with me? Yes, of course, because everybody really loves to play. Okay, here's how it goes. I'm going to tell you something that I love about myself, which is so weird, and do it anyway. The thing I love about myself is, and it can be anything. And my favorite of all favorite examples came from my nephew, who told me one time, the thing I love about myself is I can wait to eat my popcorn when the movie starts. I can wait for the movie to start and then eat my popcorn. I think that's just dynamite. I can't do that. Can you? The thing I love about myself is I absolutely love bubblegum. And I'm amazing at blowing double bubbles. That's your homework, peeps. All righty, friends. We got all kinds of good stuff happening at Soul Center. Lo has posted the link in the chat. Go check it out. Just peruse around it. We meet for Recovery Dharma at 1 o'clock today. We're going to continue our exploration of the work of Shantideva. And we are in chapter 7, I believe, and it's relying on effort. And so we're really looking at effort with a new kind of sincerity, really making our efforts count. Instead of the habit energy that many of us have, which is to poo-poo our efforts because we're not getting where we think we need to be. And in that mind state, we're forgetting to see where we are. And where we are took effort. And that effort is worth celebrating and exploring. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Email me with any questions or concerns. If you'd like to purchase the SatiSeva book, they're available anywhere you buy books. If you buy it from Soul Center, you do two things. One is you support this community, and two, I'll send you a copy all gussied up. If you live out of the country, unfortunately, we can't mail it to you, so you have to go other ways in various booksellers.
Yeah, like everywhere you buy books.
Yeah, it's truly everywhere you buy books. And if there's one thing that you can do, if you've purchased a book and you've been reading it, I would just ask for a generous request, really, and that is to leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads. That really does help create some recognition. Lo and I are working on that so this book can get traction in terms of being another Buddhist recovery type option for people. All righty. And let's go ahead, friends, and and end our practice today with a dedication of merit. And today I'd like to share with you a sentiment of metta, loving kindness, and it's on the back of this particular painting. This metta, I'd like to just invite you to come to your body, maybe close your eyes for a moment, and let's go ahead and sit in a posture that engages sada. Sada is to lead with the heart. To lead with the heart. And the heart is the coalescence place of the spiritual practices of the physical body and the spiritual practices of sort of what we consider the cosmos, the universe. And they come together, they coalesce at the level of the heart. And so to lead with the heart is to lift the heart. It's no small thing to practice for oneself and to recognize that everything that you're doing is by extension going out into the world. So the question is, what do I want to be putting into the world? It's a deep question. May this sentiment of metta support your efforts. This one reads, may you hold the stories of your experiences with reverence and awe. And this goes for the stories of regret. And the reverence that we can begin to have toward our regret is the capacity that our regret has to teach us wisdom and humility. The awe that we can assign to our regret is the recognition of our capacity to be so unskillful. We have that capacity, and so does every other human being on the planet. And why we can recognize that and see that is it starts to ignite our compassion, because just like me, this person that I'm judging for all of their misconduct and misdeeds, just like me, they have that capacity. So do I. And I don't want to be that anymore, so I'm practicing. And may my practice be of benefit to all living beings. May my practice be but a drop in a bucket of reducing the misery of the world. But without me, there's one less drop. Thank you for your beautiful practice here today, friends. Thank you for being such a reliable source of inspiration for me and my practice. Thank you for adding so much beauty to the container of this Sangha. Thank you for your wisdom and your care. I hope you go into this day finding all kinds of things that are unique and beautiful, worthy of your love toward yourself. We'll see you next time. Namaste.